It seems to me that as we talk today about ATC reform, there are really three areas where we need to focus. First, we need to understand where we are today. Second, we need to understand where we want to be in the future. And third, how best to get from where we are to where we want to be. As Paul Rinaldi indicated in his statement, today the U.S. has the largest, the safest, the most diverse, the most complex, and the most efficient air transportation system in the world. It is currently enjoying the safest period of history that we have ever seen. But being the best today is not sufficient. In order for our country to thrive, we need to be the best 5, 10, 25 years from now. The question is, how do we get there? H.R. 4441, we believe, takes us down the wrong path. This bill takes our air traffic control system and turns it over to the big airlines. We think that is the wrong path. We think it's a dangerous path. We think it's a path that should be rejected. And here's why. Our nation's air traffic control system is a monopoly, and it will stay a monopoly going forward. The airlines for 30 years have been lobbying Congress so that they can seize control of that natural monopoly and exert their authority over it. We think that is a fatally flawed concept. The public airspace belongs to the public, and it should be run for the public's benefit. Do we really think that given control of this monopoly, the airlines would run it for every American's benefit? Reading the headlines over the past year would suggest that's probably not the case. Airline consolidation hits small cities the hardest, wrote the Wall Street Journal. Justice Department investigating potential airline price collusion, wrote the Washington Post. Airline complaints on the rise was a headline in The Hill. Airlines reap record profits and passengers get peanuts. That appeared in the New York Times this past weekend. Now, people have asked, if we give control to the airlines, what protections would consumers need, small towns need, general aviation need? But the very question itself is a tacit acknowledgement that protections are necessary. This is a little bit like someone saying, we want to put the fox in charge of the chicken coop. What do the chickens need in order to feel comfortable with that decision? We know that ultimately the fox is going to find its way around any protections. The chickens are going to be had, and when that happens, it's going to be too late to do anything about it. When the full dangers of putting the airlines in charge of our nation's air traffic control monopoly are understood, Congress will be left with no resource. We need to find a way forward. Status quo is not acceptable, but turning our air traffic control system over to the airlines is just a bad idea. It's a dangerous idea. We're talking about giving them unbridled authority to make decisions about access, about rates, charges, about infrastructure. This is a sweeping transfer of authority. It's breathtaking in its magnitude, and it is potentially deadly in its consequences. We do not want to keep the status quo. We want to move forward. We don't want this path, however. We would advocate for targeted solutions to identified problems. We've talked about ways that we can address the funding issue. We're looking for ways to enhance business practices. We already know that the bill itself includes a lot of very important certification reforms. As Mr. Larson said, there is an awful lot very good in this bill. There's a lot of important stuff in this bill. But at the heart of it is this sweeping transfer of authority to the airlines that we believe is a poison pill. It's a poison pill for communities, a poison pill for customers, it's a poison pill for general aviation. And no amount of sugarcoating is going to change that. We believe this portion of the bill needs to be rejected, and we need to move forward with a long-term FAA reauthorization bill that is in the best interest of all Americans, not just those in large hub cities, but including those in small towns and rural communities that depend on access to airports and to airspace so that we can have a strong national economy and a strong air transportation system.